we prove through this man, James O'Keefe, who has the greatest guts in the history of journalism, that voter fraud is rampant in America. Do you understand what he just did? He's with us right now. James, I don't know how you do this, but you did it. Tell the audience, were you shocked that they didn't even know who Eric Holder was?
We've done this a number of times, and they never recognize us, and they don't have any requirement to, show ID or anything. So it's pretty unbelievable. The guy was 23, white kid, and Eric Holder's a 61-year-old black man. So they didn't recognize who Eric Holder was, I guess.
But you and I both know that voter ID is critical to prevent voter fraud. How come Eric Holder doesn't know that? It's a loaded question because they want voter fraud, don't they?
Well, it seems to appear that way because every time we've done this 4 times now. We did New Hampshire, Minnesota, Vermont. The legislatures in those states have changed the laws after we released our videos. But it's absolutely shocking that we're trying to do the right thing. Oh, we'll go to the car and get our ID, and they're saying, no, you don't need your ID. So the system is completely broken. The analogy I like to use is it's like a bank vault door which is swung wide open and the money is just hanging out, and we're filming that process. We're filming that the system is so easily manipulatable, and they don't care.
Well, I think they do care. Remember, the Democrat base requires illegal aliens and double and triple voting to maintain any of their power. Otherwise, they would be in favor of voter ID. Isn't that common sense? Yet they claim it's racist. They say it's racist to demand that people have voter ID. Don't you need voter ID? Don't you need ID to have a driver's license?
You need voter ID to get into the Department of Justice. So you need an ID to get into the actual Justice Department building, and we sent a guy up to the building and said, isn't it hypocritical to require an ID to get into the building? If I want to make a complaint about the fact that requiring ID is racist, I can't get into the Department of Justice in order to do that. So
without ID. Exactly. Yeah, I did this myself years ago. I tried to show my license here in California. She said, "Oh no, we don't want to see that." I said, "Why wouldn't you want to see that?" Well, what do you mean you don't want to see my license? How do you know who I am?
Yeah.
So, James, so you've done this in Washington, D.C. You had someone go out who's a young white guy who says he's Eric Holder, and they said, fine, vote here?
Yes, we didn't even say we were Eric Holder. We just said, do you have an Eric Holder, so as not to misrepresent. So as not to misrepresent ourselves. And they assumed that we were Eric Holder. And we've done this, we have more tapes in D.C. that we're going to release shortly of various other politicians and celebrities, but we thought that, the Alinsky tactic, personalize it. Nothing could possibly be more personal than showing the own Attorney General's ballot being compromised. So hopefully it could...
That's astounding. Has Eric Holder responded? You claim he has. You say he has. What has the Justice Department said?
The Justice Department has responded today. They called this video manufactured, is what they called it. They used the word manufactured, and they sent that over to a couple of their friendly reporter friends at TPM, Talking Points Memo. And the video is Mike Wallace passed away yesterday, and I actually looked up to him. I thought that he used to do this type of thing. He used to catch people in the act. That's what investigative reporting is. You produce a story to expose something. So it's manufactured. I think is kind of a cop out.
Of course it is, but this should trigger the Republican Party, don't you think, James, to demand voter ID laws and cracking down on vote fraud?
They have. In New Hampshire, we showed dead people getting ballots to vote in New Hampshire, and the state Senate in New Hampshire changed the law there. And in Minnesota, we showed Tom Brady and Tim Tebow, NFL football players, registering to vote in false names. Wow. And the Minnesota House of Representatives voted into law a constitutional amendment a few weeks ago. So it's definitely galvanizing people, and I'm sure the Attorney General is very upset at us for exposing this, and we'll see what he does. Hopefully he issues some type of reaction more than just it's manufactured.
I wish to God that you got a little more exposure for this horrible, horrible reality we're living through, James. I'm going to send you a copy of my new book, Trickle Down Tyranny, because, you're the perfect guy who understands what we're facing here. You know that this is not just a small little pimple on an otherwise good elephant. Or shall I say a small pimple on an otherwise decent donkey. We have a donkey that wants to lead us right over the cliff, I think. And I think the tyranny that we're seeing at the ballot box is something that should be frightening any American. Why shouldn't we have voter ID laws in every state of the land? I don't understand it. It's so logical to me.
Well, that's why we're doing what we're doing. We have to get it on videotape, just like the Acorn videos and the NPR videos. When you show something on video, it changes everything. And the Supreme Court, even Justice Stevens said in his Crawford decision, you don't need any showing of voter fraud to pass laws to protect against vulnerabilities. So we're trying to catch those vulnerabilities on tape so that you can't deny what you're seeing. And we're going to.
How could the listeners of my show help you with this, James? What can they do?
We are a nonprofit. We are not controlled by any corporate media. We do things our own way, and we take risks that the corporate media cannot take. We're not controlled by anyone. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and if you want to help us out, produce more of these videos, you go to Project Veritas. That's Project Veritas.com, and make a donation. I'm sure they're going to sue me and try to prosecute me, but I've got a really loyal group of young, courageous citizen journalists I work with, and we're going to keep doing this all year long.
I admire you, James, and you're always welcome on the Savage Nation. Good luck with this project. It's a shock. Thank you very much. The time is 41 minutes after the hour. You're listening to the Savage Nation.